Hello, everyone. Welcome back. If you're new around here, very welcome. Guys, I'm Andrea. I talk about life with a disability in Australia, the NDIS, and related topics around living life with a disability and chronic health conditions. So, guys, let's jump into it. Bit of housekeeping. Guys, have just finished recording and editing with friend, mentor, support coordinator, and chaos coordinator. Debbie Lund around NDIS changes and roadmap changes as well. But guys, we mentioned something in that podcast that I wanted to double down on here. Choice and control. So choice and control is a foundation of what the NDIS is built on. For my international viewers, the NDIS is the National Disability Insurance Scheme. It replaced piecemeal state funding systems and brought those who were missing out into the system. So, guys, it's disability related support, not health related support. There is Category A, which is automatic acceptance, Category B, and Category C. And for all categories, you do have to provide evidence from specialists as well. Unfortunately, in the changes of the legislation of the NDIS Reforms Bill, they have actually snuck through the independent assessments. We don't know who's going to be doing them or what they're going to look like as well. But, guys, it is a work in progress, and we do need to be aware of that one as well. So, guys, choice and control and dignity of risk, are really foundational to NDIA framework. So NDIA is the government body who administers the bureaucracy of the scheme and the funding as well. So dignity of risk is, instead of being risk adverse, where you let someone take those risks and experience failure or experience success, what it might be. It might be sharing by themselves. It might be walking a block to the corner store. It might be taking a taxi or public transport instead of having a support worker drop them off somewhere. It might also be starting a micro business as well. So that is dignity of risk, giving them the dignity to take calculated risks as well. But choice and control does need to have reasonable limits. So for someone with anxiety, depression, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, pathological demand avoidance, guys, choice and control can become a battleground as well. And choice and control is, people seem to misunderstand what choice and control actually is. Choice and control can be those day-to-day livings, what time you get up, what time you go to bed, what you're watching on TV. But it's also then who supports you. And in a cell house, we've got 2 or 3 housemates. I think it's 3 is the limit for one support worker. There is going to be limits. So having a support worker cooking 3 different meals is really not practical. You can sit down whenever it is, Monday or Sunday night, meal prep, meal plan, shopping list, going shopping together, batch cooking. Nothing wrong with getting delegated your chores or your cooking meals as well. But in that situation, your choice and control is, it's cold, so do you want to wear the dress with tights or do you want to wear jeans and a t-shirt? Do you want to go to the day centre? Do you want to chill at home? These are all choice and control as well. And choice and control is limited around a NDIS plan. So a NDIS plan is a plan where once you are approved, so you've gone through your documentation, you've been accepted onto the scheme, and there are other ways of getting care. It might be National Injury Compensation Scheme, it might be hospital at home, it might be my aged care, it might be paying privately as well. Because, guys, as a side note, we are seeing the gentrification of disability, particularly in the southern states, so Melbourne, Sydney, where people are going to allied health specialists, psychiatrists, to push them into giving them a diagnosis and then not realizing how hard it is to get on the scheme as well, because guys, diagnosis doesn't always equal access as well. There is a line in the legislation between health and disability as well. So, guys, this can be a bone of contention for a lot of people, but there needs to be boundaries around where people are accepted as well and what they can do. So I understand we're all fearful with the changes, so Deb's trying to help us navigate those changes, what navigators are going to do, what are their role, who they're going to replace as well, registration as well. So this is where choice and control. So are you letting someone have the junk food every night because they're like, oh, it's my choice, my control? Well, that's not going to be great for them in the long run. So taking them to a dietitian, nutritionist, herbalist to get that proper nutrition into them as well. Pathological demand avoidance, phrasing it as a question rather than a request. Having set rules, boundaries, especially in a SIL house, housing facility, assisted living, is going to be huge for the smooth running of that facility. So, who is doing financial trusteeship of money? Who are allowed in the house? Do they have to sign in, sign out? When do support workers knock off or sign in? Are they allowed in early? Are they allowed to visit each other? Are they allowed to swap shifts? These are all things that will be very tightly managed by a provider for the simple reason is that there might be behaviours of concern, difficult and challenging behaviours, triggers in the mental illness where swapping shifts is not going to be a good idea, that person needs that consistency of care. And so consistency of care is knowing who to expect at what time for what reason. It might be someone who's coming in for 2 hours to do personal care, so showers, toileting, bathing, hoisting. It might be a family friend coming to visit. I do know for privacy, if you've got a separate community access agency, separate day centre facility, unless your complex needs doing a handover in SIL houses isn't really a thing because there is privacy concerns as well. So that is something that you need to think of, especially around providers getting registered and audited and accredited, is your privacies around mobile phones, around internet, around who's allowed in the house. Guys, some people might be saying this is a restrictive practice, it's obstruction control, but I do see where in a SIL house, part of the support worker or carer's duties is to do the housework, to make sure budgets are being kept to make sure people are going to bed at a reasonable hour, to make sure hygiene standards are kept. So that is really important, and where choice and control needs to have reasonable limitations as well. So if you choose and if you're able to, because your allied health or medical professionals have said you can be left alone, what are you doing during that time? Are you allowed to go out, going for a walk, takeaway, ice cream, or do you need to let someone know? That is general courtesy if you're going out when no one else is home. Text message, sticky note. We've got 2 SIL houses side by side letting people know as well. So guys, choice and control is a really interesting topic, as is another point we touched on over on the podcast was overdiagnosis and pathologization of life. it's great to get those labels, to get those diagnoses, to get the early intervention for child with a disability, but they are still children. They still need to be just let to grow into themselves and not feel that, yes, they are different, but to have some level of accountability. Teach them manners, saying please, saying thank you, being able to wait their turn, being able, and these might be the things that you're working on for a very long time, but they are children first and need to be parented. That parenting, I admit, is going to look very different as well. So, guys, there is a dark side to choice and control, and having too much freedom is not necessarily a good thing. And this is where I'm seeing Dr. Jordan Peterson is saying about clean your damn room, because that gives you the responsibility. And when you start to clean your room and start to develop the skills to manage your own life, to aim at something, and for a person with a disability, that might be aiming at recovery, that might be aiming to finish your study, that might be nothing stopping you from creating your own YouTube channel, your own podcast. Though there are some people with a disability who should not have unfettered access to the internet as well. So, guys, it might be writing for another YouTuber or podcaster. It might be researching for them remotely as well. It might be a fast food job. And so this is where choice and control comes in around your goals, but your goals need to be realistic as well. Guys, it is interesting to see what the NDIS is cutting back on. Guys, I want to reassure people, the NDIS at its core is not going away. But when they wrote the legislation, it was very broad, and I wanted to reinforce something Debbie said over on the podcast. She said, humans are going to human. The dodgy providers are going to be dodgy providers. They will find a way. So please, if you're finding that there's fraud, a dodgy provider, please speak up. Your support coordinator, a support worker you trust, a PA, a friend of the family, your local community pharmacist. Your community pharmacist may not be able to solve it, but they can at least point you in the right direction of advocates, advocacy networks, or to escalate it if they have care coordinators, support workers, your LAC, your family as well. So, guys, please speak up as well. And I know I'm doing a lot of the dark side of things, but we need to acknowledge not everything in disability is unicorns and roses. Sometimes life with a disability is difficult, challenging. I won't say sucks, because I am a massive believer in gratitude. Some starting off gratitudes is I've got clean potable water. I have access to the internet. I have clean clothes. I have access to care. I have family and friends and colleagues who love me, who've given up their time to support my content creation. So, guys, that's a starting point. Do you have money in the bank? I know cost of living is huge at the moment, but if you've got money to buy food, if you've got access to a food bank, if you've got access to clean clothes, and they don't have to be designer, they could be Shein, Temu, Kmart. Please be reminded there is no shame in buying fast fashion and looking after it, or op shopping as well. So, guys, I will leave it there. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and guys, best way you can support the channel is absolutely completely free, is if you can subscribe. So, guys, I will see you in the next video.